Too many people these days are turned off by setting goals. Whether it's because they're tired of setting goals that never turn into reality, or they just find the whole process overwhelming. It seems like goal setting has gotten a bad rap over the years. But the truth remains, especially if you're anything like me, that you want to continuously grow, and you certainly don't want to become complacent in life. Which is why by the end of this video, I want to assure you that your goals will flow out of you naturally. So much so that they'll actually feel like they're automatically oozing out of you, I promise. So I'm a neuropsychologist that's done tons of research on achievement psychology, and I even had a business coaching tons of women to successfully turn their dreams into reality. So I think it's only fitting that I share this goal setting process with you that can ultimately help you be the vessel by which your goals flow from your higher self, so that you can get out of your own way, listen to your true self, and become a better you while creating a better world. Let's get started. I feel it in my spirit. So when it comes to setting goals the right way, you want to make sure you're starting off with a joyful spirit. Some may call this vibrating high, some may call this being in a good mood, some may call it just feeling right in your spirit. Whatever you call it, you want to make sure that you are in a joyful spirit before you start setting those goals. One of the key important factors when it comes to this joyful spirit is coming from an abundance space, coming from an abundance mindset, and not coming from a place of lack. Because we have seen, and it's noted in things like the law of attraction, but it's also backed up by science, that like attracts like when it comes to our mindset. So you want to start off from a place that you are feeling grateful, that you are feeling abundant, that you're feeling energized, or maybe just relaxed, that you're not burnt out, all those things before you sit down to make your goals, because it will really affect what you think you can do, how you go about setting those goals, and you don't want to set yourself up for failure before you even start. So I did a video last week on how I reset and refresh for the new year to set my goals that goes through my entire reset routine if you're looking for more information on how to get in the right mindset to set your New Year's goals. One technique I suggest you use to set yourself up for this mindset is to try to think about feelings and try to access those feelings that you want to bring into 2024. So think about, how do you want to feel in 2024? And if you can get yourself to feel those feelings when you set down to achieve your goals, that's going to help ensure that you bring those into the goals that you set, and also bring that into the year. So just take a moment before you set your goals to think about, how do I want to feel in this next year, and see if you can think about any things that bring you those type of feelings in the moment when you're setting your goals. But you may be saying, Tiffany, what if I am just sad right now? Or what if I'm just stressed out, burned out, or just plain sad? That's okay. I want you to accept your emotions for what they are. This is not about being in denial or pushing emotions away or avoiding emotions. Quite the contrary. If you find yourself in a place that you can't easily shift how you're feeling, I want you to accept how you're feeling and sit from a place of, what do you want to learn from those emotions? Our emotions are simply signals from our higher self, from our inner being, telling us something that needs to be addressed. So we don't want to ignore those. So if you're feeling sad, if you can figure out what that emotion is trying to tell you, what those present circumstances are trying to teach you, and implement that into your goals of how you want to address that lesson that you're learning from your emotions. If you're feeling angry or disrespected, or whatever the emotion that's coming up from you, see, is there any lessons that you can learn, or any signals that you can notice from why you're feeling this way, or how you want to remedy this. If you are in a place where you can't easily shift, I want you to use that as information of what you most immediately need to work on in 2024. Now you have a joyful spirit. Now let's get your mind right. The next step in this process is really leaning into having a faithful mind. And that means doing the conscious work to define your goals the right way. So this goal defining process that I'm going to share with you is based on a gamut of truth, research, and lived experience. So I can tell you that these techniques actually work. And spoiler alert, the whole tenet of this goal defining process is to really seek joy. Shout out to Abraham Hicks. Because if you wanted to, we could actually boil all this science down and all this philosophy down to the tenets of seek joy. There's actually a quote by Abraham Hicks that I truly love that says, "You are here for the joy of being here." So simple and so true. We are here not to get things or achieve things per se. We're really here to enjoy the journey of life and to enjoy the journey to the destination of getting all those things. I want you to use your joy as a compass and really let it direct you. So if you remember, as I was saying earlier, our emotions are just signals from our inner being, our true self, who we truly are. And joy is the ultimate signal of your most divine desires. So if you follow your joy, that emotion that is emitting from the true part of yourself, that's going to help direct you towards a path of what you truly desire and what you'll truly find fulfilling. And there's a YouTuber, Ronald L. Blanks, that recently made a video on goals. And he talks about goals in the sense of goals out of desperation versus goals of inspiration, and how we really want to lean into goals of inspiration, not desperation. So for example, a scarcity goal or a goal out of desperation could be, I want to lose weight because I feel completely unlovable and I'm never going to get anywhere in life if I'm like this. It's just completely desperate, and it kind of reeks of a lot of other things that likely need to be addressed before actually losing the weight. But if you have a goal of, I want to lose weight so I can run with my children and feel more healthy and actually take care of myself because I deserve to be taken care of, you can see the shift in energy out of coming from a place of desperation with your goals versus coming from your goals from feeling inspired and wanting. And a pro tip is, when you are defining these goals, if you feel some resistance, like, oh, I don't know if I can achieve that, or fear, or if you're feeling like any twinge of friction when setting these goals, like you don't want it to be too easy, research has shown, but you also don't want it to be too hard. You want to find that middle ground when when it comes to setting goals. If you actually want to achieve them, you want it to produce a little bit of anxiety, but you don't want to be so much so that it feels impossible. So when you're thinking about these goals, if you feel like you've hit a place where it's coming to so much resistance that it feels impossible when you look at that goal, I want you to not necessarily give up on that goal, but what I do want you to do is make it more general. So if it's so specific, like I'm going to make $1.5 million next year, and your brain is looking at that saying, yeah, right. What we know from neuropsychology is, if you don't believe in something, even just by stating in the positive isn't going to make you believe it more. There's no faking it till you're making it. In fact, that'll make you resist it more. Your unconscious will work against that more because in your mind you believe it not to be true. You really want to amp up your belief that you can achieve this goal. So if you can be more general, so instead of saying I'm going to achieve $1.5 million next year, I want to increase my profit. And then you can be very specific with the actions that you're going to take, because you do want to be specific when it comes to goals. But if it's creating resistance for you, one little trick that you can do is to kind of push back a little bit and be a little bit more general, or define the goal in a more believable way. So you don't want it to be too easy. You don't want it to be too hard. You want it to be like Goldilocks, just right. So while we're talking about practical tips, let's actually get really practical on how you're going to set these goals. I want you to start big. So we're going to use an analogy of the solar system. So you're going to start big with 5 and 10-year goals when you're setting your goals, and then we're going to work our way down. So I call these big goals our sun goals. So where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? Remembering to use that compass of your joy. So after you've set those sun goals, then I want you to move on to your moon goals, which are your yearly goals. So what are those big, these are still big goals, but that are going to move you closer to your sun goals of 5 to 10 years. What do you want to happen in this next year to help move you towards where you want to be in 10 years or in 5 years? What are you going to do? And very practically speaking, you want to write these moon goals down. So you're writing down the 5 and 10 years goals, but you're also going to write down these moon goals. So much research supports that writing things down is going to help solidify it more in your brain, help you remember it more. And people that write down their goals are more likely to actually achieve. So like Erica Baidu says, write it down with real paper and real pencil and watch it get real. I obviously love to use the Mon Ambition Goal Planner to really hone in on using evidence-based psychology to set these goals in a way that you're going to achieve them in a way that is strategic and in a way that really aligns with your true self. So I'm going to share 5 pages out of the Mon Ambition Goal Planner that I think are really useful in helping you set goals in a way that actually work. So I'm opening up a brand new Mon Ambition Planner, and I will also put the pages on the screen for you guys to see them as well. So if you don't have the Mon Ambition Planner, you can do this on your own. If you want the Goal Planner, these 5 pages are in there, as well as additional resources that are all based on achievement psychology on how to meet your goals. And I wanted to share some of my 5 favorite pages out of here. Okay, so the first page that I want to share with you is a page on how to start with gratitude. So if you really want to hone in on coming from a place of abundance, like we talked about earlier, not a place of lack, this sheet is going to help you get there. It uses a reflection prompt that's based in psychology at the top to help you get started, and you write a letter of gratitude for the previous year. That really helps me get into the right mindset before I set these goals to come from a place of abundance. So this is the gratitude letter with specific prompts on how to get you to write that gratitude letter in a way that's going to get you in a state of abundance. Another helpful 2 pages is the clarifying defining your values and what is your life made of pages that are really helpful in defining what's most important to you. And you do a assessment of your values and how you're doing in your each domain of your life before you make your goals, which is really helpful because it highlights what you might need to work on in this next year based on what's most important to you. Then the next page that I think is really nice that you can do either in the planner or on your own is the worksheets on actually writing those moon goals. So there's a whole worksheet on how to define those moon goals, but also how to do the SMART goals that you're going to need to get there. So SMART goals are what I call like your star goals. So we have our sun goals, we have our moon goals for the year, and then we have those SMART goals that you're going to take into your quarterly planning. So a lot of goal research, achievement research is all about making it actionable. So once you've set those larger goals for the year, how are you going to make them happen with specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound goals? And when it comes to those actions that we take to get to our goals, what the science has shown us is it's best. They've tried a lot of different time frames, but around 3 months, which is 12 weeks or 90 days, which you have in the Mod Ambition Planner, you have a quarterly planner right behind the goal planner, is how you should set up those actionable goals, especially if you're trying to create habit change or routine change or any goals that come with changing your neuroplasticity in your brain. It's about, give yourself about 12 weeks to achieve these goals. So as you know, I use the 12-week year strategies in my planner, but also just generally in my life to achieve my goals. And so this moon goal section helps you really set that up to get started with your first quarter of the year. You define that moon goal, and then you do the conscious work to develop the SMART goals that are going to help you get there, which is helpful. And then there are 2 worksheets that are a part of the goal planner that I want to share with you that are actually going to help you with your motivation to get you there, to get started, but also keep going towards your goals. And this is based on motivation psychology, and it's all based on evidence-based ways to help you get that dopamine flowing, to get that motivation going to actually reach your goals. The first worksheet is the rocket fuel worksheet. So it's 2 pages here, and you can do this in the planner or you can do it on your own. It walks you through some of that psychology on getting motivation for your goals and keeping it. And then on this page, you'll see there's actual strategies to help you ignite that motivation. The first prompt is, why do I want this goal? And the second prompt under each moon goal that you're going to fill out is, why do you believe you will have this goal? And these 2 prompts are based on research on igniting your desire is going to help you motivate yourself to reach your goals and stay consistent. So the more you want a goal, the more you are going to be amped to achieve that goal. Your brain is going to wrap around it even more strongly. Your neural pathways are going to form much quicker if you have a really deep connection with really desiring that goal. Even though it's backed up in science, this has been talked about in many spiritual contexts like the Bible, law of attraction, all those things, that believing in something, having the faith of a mustard seed, you're going to see it come to fruition, and it happens to be actually true. So how can you wrap your mind into believing what it is that you want to happen is actually going to happen? So writing down why do you believe your each goal will come true is going to help fan that as well and get your mind wrapped around actually believing in your goal. But if you do have some resistance, there are a couple of tools in the goal planner that help you if you're having a hard time believing yourself to get these goals to come true. And one of those that I will share, there's a few different ones of those, but the one that I want to highlight with you guys is the focus wheel. So creating a focus wheel, the Mod Ambition Planner walks you through it entirely. I also have a video on my channel, so I won't go into it now on how to create a focus wheel. If you don't have the planner, you can watch that video. But that exercise is going to help your brain wrap around actually believing in your goal. And again, like I said, every exercise in this book, I'm a neuropsychologist, I'm a nerd, is based on evidence on how to set goals that actually work, but also getting your mind in a framework to actually achieve them. So you can do this on your own, or the planner walks you through it, is to create a cue for these things. So you want to keep these things simple as well. So you've done all this conscious work, you've defined things very specifically, but in your day-to-day minutia, you want to have cues that are going to remind you of where you're going. And I like to do that visually, and I like to also do that verbally, because depending on what type of person that you are, one or the other may work better for you, and having both really solidifies the concept. So the visual tool that I like to use is a vision board, and the verbal tool that I like to use is a word of the year. So you want to then move into creating a vision board that really represents and hones in on the goals that you've set for the year. And you also want to create a word of the year that you can refer to on a daily basis, that you can be reminded of, that encompasses the general theme of your goals. I would also suggest keeping your goals at a minimum. There's actually a lot of research to support even having like one priority goal. Yes, you can have other goals, but having like one main one for the year. The more your brain can streamline and focus on one goal, the more amped you are to achieve that, because all your energy is going to that one thing. So that word can encompass that like priority goal. and your vision board can like summarize your goals, if you will, to give your brain really a streamlined way to focus. And then lastly, I want to talk about the last part of that triangle, which is aligned action. So we have our joyful spirit, we have our faithful mindset, and now I want to talk a little bit about defining your aligned actions when setting these goals. Namely, I want you to create a strategy to get there. You've set your SMART goals, which is important, and off of those SMART goals, I want you to use strategies like the 12-week year to really come up with the action steps that are going to help you get there. There's no question about this in the research. When it comes to our goals, setting up a clear action plan is what has been shown to really help us achieve our goals and the timeframes that we want to achieve them in. And the book, The 12-Week Year, is a great way to do that. I do have a cheat sheet on the 12-week year that goes over the summary as well as gives you the 12-week year scorecard that you can download for free in the link below. But what I want to highlight is you definitely want to plan the quarter. So plan those 12 weeks. If you're using the Mod Ambition Planner, you could just use the quarterly planner that's directly after the goal planner. Take some time to, after you set your moon goals, to plan your quarter of how you're going to get there. And I want you to use goals for your quarter that move you closer to your moon goals. So these are your STAR goals, and I want them to be smarter, which I touched on the SMART, but let's go over the whole acronym with the ER. You want them to be specific. Let's say your yearly goal is to lose 30 pounds. Okay, let's make this easier, 40 pounds. So in that first quarter, you want to lose 10 pounds. So specific, I want to lose 10 pounds. Measurable, you can measure that by getting on the scale. Attainable, 10 pounds in 12 weeks is realistic. So that's the attainable and realistic. Timely, I want to lose 10 pounds by the end of this quarter. E is evaluate. So each week you're going to evaluate your progress. So you might put even milestones, like if you want to get to 10 pounds by the end of the quarter, maybe you want to do like 3 pounds each week, or math, I can't do it right now. Let's see. Okay. If you're trying to get up 10 by 12, 10 divided by 12, I don't want to do that, is less than 1. So let's say you're trying to do at least a pound a week. So you say each week I want to evaluate, have I lost a pound? That's the E. And then the R is reward. So you want, the way the reward system works is you don't want to give yourself a reward every time. You want to flip a coin, and if you get heads, you know, you get a reward. If you get tails, if you meet your goal, you don't get a reward. The reason you're going to do this is because our dopamine centers, those reward centers, are most powerful and impactful for sustaining motivation if we cannot predict when we're going to get the reward. Think about a casino, like you never know when you're going to get it, so you keep pulling that lever. And so you want to do the same thing for yourself to stay motivated. So you don't, every time you lose, you know, a pound, you don't want to buy yourself something or whatever your reward is going to be, and you want to keep them small too, but you want to flip a coin, and if you get heads, or you can do it vice versa, you get that reward. So smarter, that's what you want to do. And the ER are evaluate each week and reward. So when it comes to evaluate in the 12-week year, they mention research in there, and I've seen studies that say when it comes to evaluate, you want to evaluate your progress about weekly. So you want to think about really checking in with yourself every week. If you want to do this with me, every Friday, I go live here on YouTube for our accountability meeting. I go over my goals and we keep each other accountable, which is shown also to be helpful in sustaining motivation. You want to be hitting about 65% each week if you want to make your goal by the 12 weeks. But you also want to create systems. And when I say systems, I mean habits and routines that are going to help make this easier for you. So you might have to use like the 12-week year first to get these habits to be habitual. But once you do, you want to be able to put these habits into routines so that all of this can be on autopilot for you. I have a video on how to make habits stick that you can watch. I also have a download, which I will link below, which is a habits and routines organizer. If you're looking for more specific information on how to implement the 12-week year with specific strategies and actually lays it out completely, I'll put a video I did here on the 12-week year for you to watch next. I hope this video has helped you get your goal setting energy flowing, and cheers to planning, manifesting, and enjoying your dream life. Namaste.